I am Jarvis, your storyteller. Welcome to the Science Fiction Exploration. If you like the story, please subscribe to our channel. Guardians from a Distant Star. The holographic display bathed Captain Alara Frost's face in ghostly blue light as she studied the tactical readout. The Earth defense vessel Hermes hung in orbit around Lyria, a world of crystalline spires and floating archipelagos that seemed more dreamscape than reality. Her weathered features, marked by 15 years of service, remained impassive despite the horror playing out before her. "Play it again," she ordered, her voice steady despite the knot forming in her stomach. Her executive officer, Commander Jackson Webb, nodded silently. The recording reset, showing the peaceful Nemian colony world transformed into hellfire. Orbital stations erupted into silent explosions. Below, cities became infernos visible even from space as massive warships, angular constructions of dark metal with pulsing red energy, methodically reduced an alien civilization to ash. "Third recording we've received this month," Webb noted grimly. "Analysis confirms it's the same pattern, Captain. The Vorax Dominion is systematically eliminating unaligned worlds in a direct path toward Lyria." Frost's hand clenched around the railing. The Lyrians, a peaceful, technologically advanced species who had welcomed humanity to the Galactic community merely 8 years ago, were clearly the ultimate target. "And the Galactic Council's response?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. Webb's expression hardened. "Same as before. They've condemned the Vorax actions but claim intervention would violate sovereignty principles since these worlds chose independence from Council protection." On a secondary display, alien diplomats argued in their crystalline chamber. Each species added their voice to a chorus of inaction. "We must study the situation further," declared the avian Forani representative, feathers rustling with artificial dignity. "These worlds chose independence. Intervention could be seen as a violation of autonomy." Frost saw what others missed or chose to ignore. The Vorax weren't just conquering, they were hunting. And Lyria, with its ancient knowledge repositories and unique biotechnology, was their ultimate prize. "The Council debates while innocents die," she whispered, then raised her voice. "Get me a direct link to Earth Command." Webb hesitated. "The Council hasn't authorized." "The Council is still deliberating while worlds burn," Frost replied, her ice-blue eyes never leaving the hologram of destruction. "Sometimes waiting for permission means waiting too long." The quantum communicator hummed to life, Earth Command's insignia rotating in the air. Frost had rehearsed this moment countless times, knowing it would define not just her career, but humanity's place among the stars. "Captain Frost reporting," she began, her voice carrying the weight of decision. "I'm invoking Emergency Protocol 7. The Vorax threat has exceeded Council containment capabilities, requesting authorization for independent intervention." A heavy pause followed. "Elaborate, Captain." Frost laid out the evidence, the pattern of attacks, the path to Lyria, the technologies at stake. "If the Vorax gain access to Lyrian biotechnology, the balance of power won't just shift, it'll shatter. Earth may be new to the galactic stage, but we know this story. We've lived it." Another pause, longer this time. She could almost hear the calculations happening on Earth, political implications, military risks, the potential fallout from defying Council protocol. But she also knew humans had learned to recognize moments when rules must bend to prevent greater catastrophe. "You understand the consequences if this goes wrong." Earth Command's voice carried no judgment, only certainty. "Yes," Frost replied, "and I understand the consequences if we do nothing." The response came surprisingly fast. "Authorization granted. The Third Fleet is yours, Captain. Save those worlds." Relief and resolve mixed in Frost's chest as she turned to her crew. "Send word to all ships. Battle Protocol Alpha. We move in 6 hours." She paused, knowing her next words would be recorded in history. "The Council debates while innocents die. Today, humanity shows the galaxy a different path." As her orders rippled through the fleet, Frost studied the tactical displays. Human ships were smaller than Vorax dreadnoughts, their technology a hybrid of Earth innovation and adapted alien science. On paper, they were outmatched, but humanity had never let unfavorable odds prevent them from doing what was right. "One more thing," she added, her voice carrying across the bridge. "Send a message to the Lyrian Enclave." She smiled slightly, remembering an old Earth phrase. "Tell them help is coming whether they want it or not." The bridge erupted into activity, preparations for war mixing with a palpable sense of purpose. Humanity's first major intervention in galactic politics wouldn't be for profit or power, but to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. In Frost's mind, there was no better way to announce their arrival on the cosmic stage. The human fleet emerged from hyperspace in a formation that made alien observers question their sensor readings. Instead of the rigid battle lines favored by Council tacticians, Earth's ships moved in what appeared to be controlled chaos. Corvettes darted between capital ships, their miniaturized fusion drives leaving trails of blue fire against the void. "Status report," Frost commanded from the Hermes' bridge. The flagship represented humanity's greatest achievement in hybrid technology, Earth engineering combined with alien metallurgy, creating something neither culture could have built alone. "All Thunderbolt squadrons reporting ready," Commander Webb announced. "Quantum networks synchronized, neural interface connections at optimal levels." He paused, checking another reading. "The Council observation vessel is expressing concerns about our formation." Frost allowed herself a small smile. "Let them worry. Begin Phase 2 deployment." The fleet movement shifted, corvettes breaking into smaller groups while larger ships adjusted positions in ways that seemed to expose critical vulnerabilities. To traditional military doctrine, it looked like madness. To human tacticians, it was the culmination of centuries of warfare evolution. Deep in the Hermes' heart, quantum computers powered by human-designed neural networks processed combat scenarios at speeds that made light seem sluggish. Each ship carried similar systems, all linked in a vast network that could rewrite its own protocols mid-battle. The Council had deemed such systems dangerously unpredictable. Humanity called them adaptable. "Vorax signatures detected," the sensor officer reported. "Multiple capital ships emerging from hyperspace." The tactical display lit up with enemy vessels, but their energy signatures defied known physics. Some ships seemed to exist in multiple places simultaneously, while others registered as void spaces in reality itself. "They've been busy," Frost muttered, studying the readings. "Looks like our intelligence was right about them raiding advanced tech from conquered worlds." She opened a channel to the fleet. "All ships, initiate Protocol Omega. They want to show us something new. Let's show them what humanity brings to the fight." The Thunderbolts surged forward. Each corvette pilot linked to their ship through neural interfaces that Earth had developed by studying and improving upon alien biotechnology. The small ships moved like extensions of human consciousness, performing maneuvers that computers alone could never calculate. But the Vorax had surprises waiting. The first human casualty came when a corvette's shields failed to stop a weapon that seemed to ignore conventional physics. The second was worse. A Vorax dreadnought passed through an asteroid as if it were mist, emerging behind a human cruiser. "Phase technology," Webb breathed. "They've weaponized quantum uncertainty." "And that's not all," Frost responded, watching as new data flooded the tactical displays. "Those energy signatures, they're not just using advanced tech. They're using something older, something that shouldn't exist anymore." The Hermes' AI flagged a pattern in the Vorax ship movements. Their seemingly random attacks were creating a complex geometric pattern in four-dimensional space. Whatever they'd discovered in their conquests was more than just weapons technology. "All ships adjust neural interface frequencies," Frost ordered. "They're trying to establish some kind of quantum field. Don't let them complete the pattern." Human corvettes darted through the gaps in Vorax formation, their unpredictable movements disrupting the precise geometry the enemy needed. The larger ships followed, using their hybrid technology to create localized distortions in spacetime. "Captain," the science officer called out, "we're detecting massive energy buildup in the Vorax flagship. Whatever they're planning." The space between fleets erupted in a cascade of impossible colors as reality itself seemed to hiccup. Ships on both sides reported sensor failures and quantum fluctuations. In that moment of chaos, Frost saw what the Vorax were really doing. "All ships fall back to secondary positions," she commanded. "They're not just fighting us, they're trying to tear open a hole in spacetime itself." The human fleet executed a fighting retreat, their seemingly chaotic formation revealing itself as a precisely calculated defense. Each ship moved in concert with the others, creating a complex web of overlapping fields that contained the Vorax's quantum anomalies. "Ready the Nexus protocols," Frost ordered, her voice steady despite the implications of what they faced. "If they want to play with forces beyond conventional physics, we'll show them humanity's answer to the impossible." As her orders spread through the fleet, the neural networks adapted, learning and evolving strategies in real time. The Thunderbolts regrouped, preparing for a new phase of battle that would test not just human technology but human ingenuity itself. Looking at the tactical display, Frost knew they were witnessing the beginning of something unprecedented. The Vorax weren't just fighting for conquest anymore. They were reaching for power that no species was meant to control. And humanity, despite being newcomers to galactic civilization, might be the only ones prepared to stop them. "All ships," she broadcast, "prepare for maximum engagement. Today we show the galaxy why Earth breeds warriors who think as well as fight." The fleet acknowledged, human determination flowing through neural links and quantum networks. The real battle was about to begin, and its outcome would reshape the understanding of what was possible in warfare among the stars. The human factor. Lieutenant Darian Vale felt his consciousness expand as his neural link activated, merging his awareness with his corvette, the EDV Firebrand. The quantum rings of the Lyrian homeworld caught starlight and scattered it in prismatic waves across the battlefield. Among these rainbow refractions, human corvettes lived up to their nickname, Thunderbolts, their drives pulsing like stellar heartbeats as they wove through three-dimensional space with impossible grace. "Thunderbolt Squadron Epsilon, execute pattern Chimera," Vale called through the neural network. His consciousness extended through quantum links to his corvette, the ship becoming less a vessel and more an extension of his own body. Around him, 11 other pilots merged with their ships in similar fashion. The Vorax phase ships emerged from solid asteroids, their matter-phasing technology allowing them to use the ring system as both cover and weapon. They expected to find easy prey. Instead, they found human pilots operating on pure instinct, their Neuralinked ships responding faster than any computer could calculate. "They're trying to predict our movements," Vale reported, his ship spiraling through a gap barely wider than its hull. "They're targeting algorithms. They're learning too fast. This isn't normal." "That's because it's not their tech," Captain Frost's voice came through the quantum net, steady despite the chaos. "They're using predictive systems stolen from conquered worlds, old tech but incredibly advanced." The battle transformed into a deadly dance as human intuition clashed with ancient algorithms. Corvettes moved in patterns that defied conventional logic, their pilots channeling generations of human adaptability through neural interfaces that blurred the line between organic and machine. But the Vorax were far from defeated. Their phase ships began matching the human movements, the stolen predictive systems learning and adapting. The first corvette fell when its evasive pattern was anticipated perfectly, a phase beam cutting through shields designed to stop normal weapons. "They're not just predicting us," Frost realized, watching the tactical display aboard the Hermes. "They're predicting our adaptations. The algorithms are evolving faster than our neural nets can learn." Vale felt it in his neural link, the increasing pressure as the Vorax systems narrowed down their possible moves, like a chess game where the opponent could see 20 moves ahead. But humans had been playing chess for centuries, and they'd learned something machines never could. Sometimes the best move was the one that made no sense at all. "Thunderbolt Squadron," he called, "disengage neural assistance. We're going pure human on this." "Lieutenant," Frost's voice carried concern. "Without the neural nets managing our movements, they'll be truly random," Vale finished. No pattern for them to predict because we're not using any pattern at all, just human instinct and training. It was dangerous, flying complex ships through combat without computational assistance. But it was also purely human, the willingness to throw away apparent advantages to gain a deeper edge. The effect was immediate. The Vorax targeting systems, designed to find patterns in chaos, encountered something their stolen algorithms couldn't process: genuine unpredictability. Human pilots flying on instinct and skill alone created a battlefield environment that defied mathematical analysis. "It's working," Frost announced, watching as the Vorax formation began to break down. "Their predictive systems are burning processing power trying to find patterns that don't exist. All ships follow Epsilon's lead. Disengage neural assistance on weapons and navigation." The space above the Lyrian homeworld erupted in a display that would have made Earth's ancient fighter pilots proud. Human ships moved with organic fluidity, each pilot's decisions flowing from experience and intuition rather than calculated efficiency. The Vorax phase ships, their advanced technology suddenly a hindrance, found themselves unable to cope with enemies that fought like no machine could predict. "They're falling back," Vale reported, his corvette dancing through the debris of a phase ship that had materialized in the wrong place at the wrong time. "Their formations are breaking down." But victory brought its own revelation. As the Vorax ships retreated, their movements revealed what they'd been hiding: a massive device half-phased into the largest of Lyria's rings, its purpose clear to anyone who could read ancient technology. "They're not here to conquer the Lyrians," Frost's voice carried new urgency. "They're trying to download the entire Lyrian knowledge database directly into their systems. If they succeed—" She didn't need to finish. A species with phase technology and access to the sum of Lyrian knowledge would be unstoppable. The battle for the Lyrian homeworld wasn't just about saving one civilization. It was about preventing the birth of an unstoppable empire. "All ships," Frost commanded, "form up on the Hermes. Begin charging Nexus protocols. We end this now while we have the advantage." As the human fleet regrouped, Vale looked through his canopy at the crystalline rings of the Lyrian world. Somewhere in those ancient structures lay the accumulated knowledge of a civilization that had reached for the stars millennia before humanity had invented the wheel. Now Earth's children fought to protect that legacy, using the most basic human traits to defeat technology beyond their comprehension. The next phase would test them all. But for now, humanity had proven something important. In the face of overwhelming technological superiority, their greatest weapon remained their humanity itself. "Launch the swarm." Captain Frost's command triggered a cascade of events that would rewrite galactic military doctrine forever. From the holds of human capital ships, thousands of modified mining drones poured into space like metallic rain. Each unit was smaller than a fighter, originally designed to crack asteroids and extract ore. Now they served a different purpose. The Council had banned autonomous combat units centuries ago after a devastating war that nearly wiped out 3 civilizations. But humanity, new to galactic politics, had found a loophole. These drones weren't autonomous. Each one was quantum-linked to a human operator through experimental consciousness-sharing technology. "Swarm control, status report," Frost called as the cloud of drones approached the massive Vorax download device embedded in the Lyrian rings. "Neural link stable," reported Lieutenant Commander Terk Nassar from the Swarm Control Center. His body lay in a suspension pod, but his consciousness spread across hundreds of drones simultaneously. "All operators showing green. It's intense, Captain, like being in 1,000 places at once." The Vorax responded to the drone attack with predictable contempt, their phase ships moving to intercept what they saw as primitive mining equipment. That contempt lasted exactly 8 seconds. The drones moved with impossible coordination, each unit anticipating the other's actions with synthetic precision while displaying organic creativity. When Vorax weapons fire phased through one drone, 3 others attacked from angles that shouldn't have been calculable. When phase ships tried to materialize inside the swarm, they found spaces that shifted faster than their computers could process. "They're adapting," Nassar reported, his voice strained from managing multiple combat perspectives simultaneously. Their predictive systems are trying to find patterns in our movements, but they can't predict what we can't predict ourselves. The human operators, their minds linked to their drones through quantum entanglement, created battle patterns that emerged from both calculation and intuition. Each drone was both machine and human, their actions guided by silicon precision, but chosen by organic creativity. But the neural load was intense. In the control center, operators began showing signs of stress. Managing multiple drone perspectives simultaneously taxed human consciousness in ways their training hadn't fully prepared them for. "Status update on operators," Frost demanded, watching as the swarm engaged Vorax capital ships directly. "Running hot," Nassar answered, his voice tight with concentration. "The quantum links are stable, but processing multiple combat scenarios simultaneously is challenging. We're seeing some neural synchronization issues. Nothing critical yet, but—" He didn't need to finish. The human mind wasn't designed to exist in multiple places simultaneously. Even with all their training and technological assistance, the operators were pushing dangerous limits. On the tactical displays, though, their efforts showed clear results. The swarm had surrounded the Vorax download device, their attacks precisely coordinated to disable its phase field generators. Vorax ships found themselves unable to establish stable firing solutions against targets that thought faster than machines, but acted with human unpredictability. "Captain," Nassar's voice carried sudden urgency, "we're detecting energy spikes in their download device. They're trying to force-feed the entire Lyrian database into their neural networks at once." Frost's eyes widened. That much data through neural interfaces, it would drive them insane. "Or worse," Nassar finished. "The Lyrian library contains technologies that could alter the fabric of reality itself if they try to absorb that knowledge directly." The decision point arrived with brutal clarity. The swarm could press their advantage, potentially destroying the Vorax device but risking catastrophic feedback. Or they could withdraw, allowing the enemy to retreat but avoiding potential disaster. In that moment, Captain Frost made a choice that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. Swarm control, execute Protocol Prometheus. Target their neural interface nodes specifically, deny them the knowledge but preserve the hardware. It was a surgical operation at a scale never before attempted in galactic warfare. Thousands of drones, each guided by a human mind working in perfect coordination, penetrated the Vorax defenses not to destroy, but to sever specific connections between the alien neural networks and the Lyrian database. The effort pushed the human operators beyond safe limits. In the control center, Nassar and his team began showing signs of neural strain, nosebleeds, tremors, sensory dissociation. But they refused to disengage. 30 seconds to critical neural load, the medical officer reported, alarm clear in her voice. "They need to disconnect now, Captain." "Almost there." Nassar's voice was barely recognizable, distorted by the strain of maintaining thousands of simultaneous perspectives. "Just a few more seconds." Aboard the Hermes, Frost faced the most difficult order of her career. "Medical, prepare to force disconnect on my mark." "Wait," Vale's voice cut through the command channel. "Captain, the Lyrians, they're responding to our neural signatures. They're helping us." Across the battlefield, the crystalline rings of Lyria began to pulse with internal light. Long-dormant defense systems, attuned to the unique neural patterns of the Lyrians, recognized something kindred in the human operators, a similar approach to consciousness, despite the vast evolutionary differences. The rings themselves began to emit fields that strengthened human neural connections while disrupting Vorax phase technology. It was as if the ancient Lyrian defenses had awakened to recognize humanity as worthy allies. "They're stabilizing our neural links," Nassar reported, the strain in his voice lessening. "And they're helping us target the Vorax interfaces more precisely. We can do this, Captain. We can save their knowledge and stop the Vorax without destroying either." The final moments of the battle unfolded like a symphony of human and Lyrian technology working in perfect harmony. The swarm, guided by human operators now supported by Lyrian neural amplification, disabled the Vorax download device with surgical precision. When the last connection severed, the Vorax fleet found itself in disarray. Their most advanced ships, dependent on the stolen technology they no longer fully controlled, began emergency withdrawals from the system. "They're retreating," Webb reported, disbelief evident in his voice. "All Vorax ships are disengaging." The bridge of the Hermes fell silent as the tactical display confirmed what seemed impossible. Humanity, the newcomers to galactic civilization, had just defeated one of the most technologically advanced threats the galaxy had ever seen. "Send word to Earth Command," Frost ordered, allowing herself a moment of quiet pride. "The Lyrian homeworld is secure. The Vorax threat has been neutralized without catastrophic loss of life on either side." As the human fleet regrouped, the first communication from the Lyrian enclave arrived. The holographic image of a Lyrian elder materialized on the Hermes's bridge, its crystalline form shimmering with internal light. "Captain Frost," the elder's voice resonated with harmonics that conveyed deep emotion. "For millennia, we have observed the younger races, offering guidance but never intervention. Today, you have shown us the error of our ways. When faced with annihilation, it was not our ancient knowledge that saved us, but the courage and adaptability of the youngest race in the galaxy." The elder's form shifted, displaying symbols that represented formal diplomatic recognition, an honor the Lyrians had never before bestowed on any species. "The Council refused to protect us, fearing to violate principles of non-intervention. Humanity chose a different path. You intervene not for conquest or power, but to protect. This is a wisdom older than our oldest records." As the Lyrian elder spoke, Frost realized they had achieved something far more significant than a military victory. In a galaxy governed by rigid protocols and ancient traditions, humanity had demonstrated a different approach, one that valued life and knowledge over rules and procedures. "The galaxy will remember this day," the elder concluded. "Not as the day humanity proved its military might, but as the day you proved that the youngest race among us might also be the wisest." As the hologram faded, Frost turned to her crew. Their faces showed exhaustion but also pride, not the pride of conquerors but of protectors. "Send word to all ships," she ordered. "Stand down from battle stations and prepare for first contact protocols with the Lyrian enclave. It seems we've made some new friends today." The Council would debate what happened at Lyria for centuries. Some would condemn humanity's intervention as reckless. Others would privately acknowledge that the newcomers to galactic civilization had preserved a heritage that might otherwise have been lost forever. But one thing became undeniable. Humanity had announced its arrival on the galactic stage not as conquerors or supplicants, but as protectors. They had been called weak until they fought to protect a home that wasn't even their own. And in doing so, they had changed the course of galactic history forever.